Can you just start off by telling us your first and last name and your title?
Sure. My name is Natalie Wilson, and I'm the co-founder of the Black and Missing Foundation.
Kind of tell us about your foundation.
So, the Black and Missing Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization that brings awareness to missing people of color across the country. Not only do we bring awareness to their disappearance, but we help families search for their missing loved ones or get that resource that they need. And we also educate our community on personal safety to stem the number of missing individuals that are reported every year. And what our community or most people don't know is that 40% of the missing population are people of color. So we are doing our part. We're advocating on behalf of these missing individuals and their families to help find and bring them home.
Black women are only 7% of the population, yet nearly 20% of all missing person cases. And I read your article on Essence.com. It stated that in 2022 alone, more than 97,000 Black women were reported missing. And also African Americans in total remain missing 4 times longer than white Americans. So I just wanted to dive into that number a little bit and just ask you, why is this happening across America? How is this happening across America?
Well, according to the FBI, like you said, 40% of the missing population are people of color, and 40% of them are really African American women and our children. And we believe that they are being targeted for sex trafficking. There's a study by the Urban Institute, and they asked pimps and pedophiles, why do you target Black women and girls? And they said for 2 reasons. One, they believe that no one will search for them. And 2, if they were found, then the penalty will not be as harsh. So how disheartening is that? And people go missing for a number of reasons, sex trafficking, like I mentioned, domestic violence, mental health is a crisis that is affecting our community. So there's so many issues, and we need to peel back the layers and have the resources in place to help rehabilitate these individuals in our community.
Okay, so we are working on a special project focused around Black women that are missing here in the Houston area. We have reported on several women who've gone missing before, but one in particular is DeAndrea Ford. Tell us what you know about her case.
DeAndrea Ford has been missing since September 22nd, so it's over a month now that she has been missing. She's a mother of a young child, and she was working at a bar in Houston. And footage shows that she left the bar with someone in a white SUV. And we continue to search for her because her family, they just want answers. I mean, we're connected to her grandmother and other members of her family, and they just want answers. She just celebrated a birthday, her 22nd birthday. So they want to bring her home safely.
Yeah, and Rochelle did a 20-minute interview with the family as well, where her uncle said that HPD is completely fumbling the ball on this. What do you think that they could have done differently as a police agency, and what do you think we could have done differently, or other media outlets across Houston? We kind of spoke about how they kind of dug into her past and brought up some other things that weren't related to this case. So what do you think could have been done differently?
Well, we have to see her as a victim, right? And we cannot just overlook that she's a mother and she's someone's daughter and granddaughter, and she needs to be found. And that's what we've been finding with missing women of color cases, that they are not seen as victims. And the perception is they're getting what they deserve. They brought this on themselves. And we need to change the narrative that DeAndrea, her son needs her, her family need to find her and bring her home. And, as far as law enforcement, we want them to know that we are a resource to help amplify her case. She can be in Houston, she can be anywhere in the country, and we need the community, the nation, to know that she's missing. Someone could walk by her and not even know that she's missing, but we just need one person to come forward with information to find and bring her home.
And also, like Moriah mentioned, there are been a lot of circumstances around her case where, somebody might see it and go, like you said, well, maybe she deserved it. She was working at a nightclub. She's a single Black woman. She got into a car with the man. When you look at DeAndrea's case compared to Gabby Petito and Natalie Holloway, who've been on our TV screens for a very long time. What is it that we can do? Maybe it's a newsroom problem. What can we do to change the narrative so that DeAndrea's story can get the same attention as Gabby Petito and Natalie Holloway's story?
So what we're finding is that many times in newsrooms across the country, there's no policy in place to determine who gets the media coverage. So I can call, my neighbor can call, and we can get two different responses. So if you have a policy in place, then there is no inherent bias as to who gets that coverage. And again, it's humanizing the missing individual. DeAndrea is a person who has a family that is searching for her. She is a mother, she is a daughter, she's a niece, she's a granddaughter, and she deserves to be found. So just don't turn a blind eye to the issue because you don't know her, but her family is desperately searching for her.
Is it true that Black women may not get as much attention versus a white woman if they're reported missing?
Yeah, and I want to add something to your question. Can you kind of go through and explain the missing white woman syndrome that we kind of hear about sometimes, where people kind of stop in their tracks when they hear that a white person has gone missing, but they don't do the same thing for African Americans?
So missing white woman syndrome is a term coined by the late, great Missing white woman syndrome is a term coined by Gwen Ifill, and it is in regards to a person going missing, a woman going missing. If she's white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, she tends to get more media coverage. And I do know that when we first started this organization, only 7% of our cases got that national media coverage. And media coverage is vital for two reasons. One, it alerts the community that someone is missing, and it can greater the chance of a recovery. But it also puts pressure on law enforcement to add resources to these cases. And it's so vital. What we're also finding is that when there's a missing young girl, Black girl, or girl of color, or woman, they're not seen as a victim. They're often adultified. The perception is they're getting what they deserve. And again, we are trying to change that narrative that we need to protect those that are most vulnerable in our communities.
What resources are available for families? We've been in contact with several families. We put them in contact with police, Crime Stoppers, some of the city council members, but what other resources are available when they are looking for their loved ones?
Well, as an organization, we work with families. We help them to create flyers. You'd be surprised how many families are scammed out of their money or their revenue because people are telling them, if you pay me, I can help you find your missing loved one. And that happens because families are putting their personal information or their contact number on the flyer. And we provide our services at no cost to anyone at all. So not only do we print flyers for them, we upload this information to our social media platforms, our clearinghouse, and we have media partners across the country that help us bring awareness to these cases. We also provide financial support to families who, they don't have the means to do so. So our work is holistic, and we also work with organizations that provide maybe counseling services for families.
Awesome. And I just have two more from me. What do you say to people in the community that may say that they're kind of starting to feel desensitized about this? Again, going back to the human element of her being missing.
We hear that from time to time. People don't believe that there's an issue of missing people of color, even though we've been sounding the alarm for 15 years. But if it's your family member that's missing, you would want to know that you have someone advocating on your behalf. So don't turn a blind eye to the issue because you're not personally connected to the missing person's story. These are our mothers, our fathers, our children, our grandchildren, our neighbors that are disappearing at an alarming rate. And we have to do a better job in amplifying these stories because we believe that someone knows something.
And my last one, Minnesota just recently became the first state to create an Office of Missing and Murdered African American Women and Girls. California also just implemented their new Ebony Alert. So my question to you is, do you see these actions or initiatives being helpful or harmful? Do you think it's going to start to become white noise that people may just ignore when they get that Ebony Alert to their phone? Or do you think that more states should pick this up?
Well, we believe that it's a step in the right direction and that more states should be able to pick up these task force or bills to, again, protect those that are most vulnerable. When you look at the Ebony Alert, is an enhancement to the Amber Alert, and we believe that the Amber Alert disproportionately eliminates children of color. So with the Ebony Alert, you have to be between the ages of 12 to 25. There's some type of mental or physical disability, as well as being endangered or trafficked. Now, on the other hand, if law enforcement isn't implementing these new laws and guidelines, then it's a moot point to have these bills in place. But again, we see it as a tool that can help amplify these cases so that the public is more aware of the missing individual.
Anything else that you want to mention or add?
I would like for your viewers to know that, we all have a responsibility around this issue, and it's not just the media or law enforcement, it's our community. If you see something, say something. In the minority community, there's a sense of distrust with law enforcement, and we don't self-report. Well, if you know someone who's missing, or if you have a tip, we have an anonymous tip line. So if you can go to bamfi.org, just let us know the information and we can report it. And of course, not disclose your confidential information. Can I just add one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
We need our community to be our digital milk carton. I know when I was growing up, missing people were on the milk carton that you saw in the grocery store. So if you can just understand or know who's missing from your community, start there and share that information within your network, then it can really help our cause and it can help your community bring more people home. So just start there and be our digital milk carton to help amplify this cause.
That's a good point. That's
Thank
a good
you.
little story.
That was good.
idea.
Yeah, that was good.
I need to get out in the community where
Yeah.
she lived and just see if people know who she is.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ms.
you,
Wilson.
ma'am.
Thank you. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Yes.